I'm Ian from K-Kids.
Yeah, hey Ian, what's with the outfit?
What's with what outfit? It's Pineapple Mayhem finale today. We have our PJ day. This is my onesie. We're spending a lot of time giving out points. We're giving out prizes. We're giving out candy. So we got a lot of awesome stuff happening in there. Inside our service today, we've got an awesome group. Becky Lee's here with Coleman talking about a move-out opportunity. Tomorrow we're going to be doing our online virtual training from 7 to 8 p.m. You can find that on our webpage. Other than that, we've got some other cool things happening today.
Yeah, we do. We are in week 2 of our Above All series. And we got Drew Daniels here, and the message was awesome. That's what I have to say. And so we are so glad to have you all with us today.
Yeah, super happy. And I, myself, have to go continue to be a pineapple. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nope, not me.
Yeah.
But, hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. If there's anything we can do for you, we're so glad to have you guys with us.
Welcome.
Good morning, church. How's everyone doing today? Good, I hope, even with the weather. Well, I want to welcome you here. My name is Joyce. I'm one of the worship leaders here. We're just so happy to have you here, even, again, on this crazy weather day. But I want to invite you all to stand with me, and let's worship and let's praise our Father, and welcome the Holy Spirit in this place. Ask Him to have His way. Let's praise Him. I'm coming with a heart of worship. I'm bringing in a brand new song. I'm ready to see the unthinkable. I'm ready for a miracle. Hearts praying for a fresh encounter. Over the take a look at the screens for this video.
What's going on, Kensington? I am so happy you're here with us today. I am Taylor Leal, and I am one of the K-Kids directors at our Troy campus, and I wanted to sneak in a little last-minute plug for our online Faith and Family event. It's in 2 days, and it's called My Child with Differing Abilities. I'm hosting this event with my friend Tessa, who is also a mother to a child with special needs. Whether you have a child with special needs, or maybe you know someone who has a child with special needs, and you want to learn how you can encourage them, we would love for you to join us. Info and free registration is at kensingtonchurch.org/faith and family. I am so glad it's May and the weather is turning. Hopefully this will mean we will have some downtime to enjoy family and friends. Here at Kensington, we want in on the fun too, so we are planning lots of ways to enjoy this season together. You'll find all upcoming summertime events listed out by campus at kensingtonchurch.org/summer. First is Vacation Bible School at the Clinton Township campus. This will happen every evening from June 20th to June 23rd. Elementary students who have completed kindergarten all the way through 5th grade are invited to make waves with us and consider how we can change the world as God leads us to love people all around us. This is a wonderful way to have your child make memories, grow in his or her faith, and it is nearly free. Just $5 for early registrants and $10 for those who register a little bit later. Midweek services can also be the best day of your week, and I also know so many of you love our Rock Your Family weekend retreats at Spring Hill. This year, we're doing something special. We are combining the two for an all-new Kensington experience. We have 2 special Rock Your Family midweek services this summer. Our K-Kids team is partnering with the Spring Hill staff team, and they are going to be bringing some memorable family fun, including the rock climbing wall, inflatable maze, Euro bungee. We're going to have dinner outside, epic lawn games and activities, a high-energy service, and ice cream. We are so excited to be hosting both of these events, both at the Troy and Orion campus. You can join us at Troy on July 27th or at our Orion campus on August 3rd. Again, check out all summer happenings at kensingtonchurch.org/summer. One more thing we want to invite you to is our 8th annual Hope Water Project 5K and Fun Run. Metro Detroit campuses are invited to join us for this special event at Troy campus on the morning of June 4th and our Traverse City campus on the evening of July 20th. We are on a mission to bring clean, life-giving water to the Pokot people of Western Kenya. Over the past 14 years, the people of Kensington Church and the Hope Water Runners have literally changed the lives of thousands of people in one of the harshest climates on earth. Once a clean water well has been dug, everything else becomes possible too. Education, churches, a stable and rooted community. Please join us for our annual 5K and Fun Run event. Whether you sprint, jog, walk, volunteer, or sponsor, all of it makes a difference in the lives of the Pokot. These events include family-friendly barbecue and lawn games, and don't miss this opportunity to have fun and change lives. Find out more about both events at kensingtonchurch.org/5K. Let's get back to our service now and find out what God has to say to us during week 2 of our series called Above All.
What a special friend you are.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted a neighbor like you. I have always wanted a friend just like you.
gotta help our community. Come together if you want to get more opportunity. Me and Mr. Rogers, y'all are all pitching in. How to make this place a better place. I'm talking Michigan, dreaming about the neighbors that we need to have. Gotta be more kind to others cause we need to laugh. And if we help each other, we'll have a blast. And if we put each other first, we'll never crash. Yeah, for our community, we should all come together. Provide a common friend and start on to something fresher. And keep pushing, so everybody get the message. No mistakes, we learn lessons.
Counting our blessings, be honest and make confessions. Cause time is of the essence. 12 God's daughters and sons. A group of minds is stronger than one. We can make our community better from trash to treasure, but we can make it last forever. But as long as we strive, the good is what keeps us alive. You will always be remembered even when you die. I just really want to see you fly. If we made a community that was good all around, let's build people up instead of trying to tear them down.
Yeah, so watch as your life will turn around. You can make it out of darkness if you just follow the light.
I've always wanted a neighbor like you. I have always wanted a friend just like you. It's such a beautiful day. We might as well say, won't you be, oh, won't you be my neighbor, my neighbor? Won't you be, oh, won't you be my neighbor, my neighbor? Won't you be, oh, won't you be my neighbor, my neighbor? Won't you be, oh, won't you be my neighbor, my neighbor? Won't you be, oh, won't you be my neighbor?
Won't you please, oh won't you please, please won't you be my neighbor?
Can we give it up for them? That's amazing. That song's hot too. Won't you be, oh, won't you be my neighbor, my neighbor? Come on, won't you be, oh, won't you be my neighbor? That's what I'm saying. I heard 11 a.m. was better than 9 a.m. Okay, we're just making sure, right? 11 a.m. is better than 9 a.m.? Just a rumor I heard. Well, hey, welcome to Kensington. My name's Drew. So excited to be here with you. What you just witnessed was a fantastic kids art program called Kaleo Kids. And it's a program that's designed for kids to find their voice and their confidence. Maybe you have a neighbor kid or your children or the school that you belong to, you're interested in joining because you just think this is an amazing arts program. It's having a summer camp on August 8th, the week of August 8th, and the registration's gonna be open next week, and so we would love for you to keep an eye out for that. Again, it's called Kaleo, K-A-L-E-O, Kids. It's fantastic. In fact, so many of our performers over the years who've written songs or been on our stages leading worship are Kaleo kids, and we'd love for your child to, again, develop that voice and confidence. But really today, their song describes exactly what we're talking about, the idea of being a neighbor, moving out. And even the idea of moving out is simply that we want to love other people outside the walls of the church and make a significant impact in the community. And many of our move out teams serve at the schools that Kaleo is a part of. And so today we're describing and we're going to be pointing to this thing that Kensington has called the Move Out Network. And if you're interested or just want to know more of what that is, or today you feel challenged, then we want to invite you to a virtual online event, which is tomorrow night, Monday, May 23rd. It's going to be on Zoom, and it's really a conversation to explore what it looks like to join a move out team, to make a difference in your community, to serve. And again, we're gonna talk about that because we are in a series called Above All. And in this series, it points to a verse that the Apostle Peter wrote. And if you did not join us last week, our lead pastor, Craig McGlasson, is sharing the vision of this series is that community is born from a shared mission. Which is why we have all these circle tables. And if you're joining us or you're coming through the door late, to just join us at a circle table. I heard the speaker was all right, not sure. So there's crayons if you need to stay interested or engaged, but also food, because here's the reality. Many of us have shallow relationships. And in our desire to connect with others, we want to feel that sense of purpose, and it's usually in purpose that we begin to form better community relationships and ultimately move towards towards belonging and purpose. And so I'm really excited because today I believe it's really gonna match for you personally. We're talking about your gift, your gift. The Apostle Peter, as Craig mentioned last week, was writing to a group of Christians who were facing persecution. And it was not a luxury for them to not be hospitable, for them to not use their gifts. It was a necessity, not a luxury. And so here's the verse the Apostle Peter states. He says, above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins, that each of you should use your gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. And so today, I want to talk about two misconceptions that keep us from using our gift. Two misconceptions, I believe, whether you don't have any spiritual background, or you're a Christian, or you've been a part of the church, two misconceptions that keep us from stepping into the gifts that we have and exercising them in our world. The first of which, and this is maybe as we look into the church, the first misconception is that it's the church that performs the mission. It's the 501c3 nonprofit, organized, institutionalized church that performs the mission. But when we look at Scripture, it's clear that the Bible uses family language to describe the relationship that God has with his people. What do I mean by this? All throughout Scripture, you see that God's calling us sons and daughters, brothers and sisters in Christ. We are co-heirs. We're literally going to receive an inheritance like a son or daughter. See, I think the idea that when Jesus died on the cross, it was not so that God could redeem unto himself employees. God did not send Jesus to die on the cross to redeem unto himself a workforce, a sales force, or people who felt obligated to work for him. Jesus died on the cross so that God could redeem unto himself sons and daughters. Family language is described throughout the Bible. And I think what happens in the church is that we don't view the church like a family. We view it like a business, like an organization. And there's a massive difference. When we perceive something like a business, we will interact with it like a business. What do I mean? Well, 2 summers ago, I was on vacation with my brother, sister-in-law, my wife, and we were out to dinner. And this restaurant, we're sitting outside, and it has a fly problem. Like not just a couple flies, they have a fly problem. And the reason why I know this is because the Daniels household, we have a fly problem. Like I know what a fly problem feels like, right? So for me, I'm like, if you have a fly problem and you're in the service industry, this should be like the top of your priority list. I'm a big like customer service guy. Shout out to capitalism. Like I'm not gonna say anything. What I will do is I notice good customer service. So I like a true millennial, am embarrassed to raise my hand, and I don't want to take up any of my space. But I was so bothered by all these flies, I had to say something. I was like, hey, miss, is there anything that you can do to, help? We have all these flies, we can't, enjoy our meal. She's like, oh my gosh, terrible. And she runs to the back, and she comes back, she goes, I don't have anything. I'm like, what? You guys don't have anything? For me, I'm like, again, if I'm a manager, and I own this establishment, and I know that I have a fly problem, I know it. Then you should have like your lanterns, the off smell or some spray that is just normative in your establishment. Like I'm just blown away. And I'm like, whatever, let it go. Well, the flies, they keep escalating. They seem to be reproducing by the minute as they do. And I'm to the point, I'm like, I'm sorry, really, there's nothing that you can do about these flies. She goes, I'm so sorry. She goes back. She comes out, she's like, okay, I found a solution. And she hands me a fly swatter. And I'm getting petty. I'm like doing kill counts. I'm like 1, 2, like hoping she can hear me. And it was the end when I smacked a fly right into the top of the bun of my cheeseburger. That was it for me. I was like, we're moving inside. No one was ever to be found helping us move all of our dishes inside. I was frustrated. I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe an establishment. This is a business and, they ought to be doing this. I couldn't believe it. Now, can you imagine if I treated my household, my family, the way that I treat a business? I walk through the door. Hey, is someone gonna give me a seat around here? All right, I guess I'll just have to find one myself. And it sits down. Man, Honey, are you gonna grab me a glass of water? This place is ridiculous. Hey, babe, did you know that we have a fly problem? What are you doing to eliminate the flies from our house? She'd be like, well, you can shoo them away with the divorce papers. See, there's a difference between how we interact with a family versus how we interact with the business. The business, the goal, is to make my life easier. I pay you for a service, you eliminate struggle, right? It's easy. But a family, it requires serving. Like you never walk into a restaurant and the chef would come out and go, hey, when are you gonna get in the back and cook your food? But a family, the natural outflow of family is to love, give, serve, and contribute. See, there's a misconception that we have that when I show up to a church, the idea is that it somehow is supposed to perform the works of the service of God. When actually in the Bible, it says the total opposite. In Ephesians chapter 4, it says this. It's talking about the roles of the people in the church. It says, so Christ himself gave the apostles, church role, prophets, church role, evangelists, church role, the pastors, teachers, church role. He gave all these people, ready? To equip his people for the works of service. I'm not exempt in this. See, the idea is that we all who represent the church are supposed to be performing the works of God so that the body of Christ might be built up. I think a lot about when my wife and I, we got a dog, and I never had a dog in my life, never trained a dog. His name's Moose. And, we got a dog contingent on the fact that she would train the dog. And as, we take it for walks and he's like extremely disobedient and I just don't like it. And taking it for a walk, she goes, so when you're on a walk, you need to say, heel, heel. And I'm like, do you mean when you take him for a walk that you're gonna tell him that? Like, why are you talking to me, right? Or like when he's biting you, you have to say no biting. And I'm like, I'm not the one who's biting, talk to Moose. He's the one who's biting, right? See, I think oftentimes we don't want to have to train our dog. We want someone else to train our dog. It's like, whoa, you want me to have to perform the works of the ministry? Wait, I thought you guys were doing that. Wait, why are you talking to me? Wait, you want me to have to really engage with God? You want me to have to invite people to my home? You want me to love and disciple? Well, I thought you guys kind of created this space and we're supposed to do that. But oftentimes we show up to the church and we go, man, I don't know if I like what they're doing or how they're organizing it, or I'm not getting poured into or loved, which is real. And ideally, we have all of that in place, that everyone who ever serves at church would feel loved, poured into, invested, and like. But the reality is that family, it is exhausting to love, give, and serve. But the reason why we serve in family is because what it produces. We love family. We love the idea that it's in family and in community that we have a mission and a purpose that we get to exercise our gifts. I think about Karen Wentz, who runs our K-Friends ministry for people with special needs. And she's texting me this entire weekend talking about how they did a potluck for the parents on Friday night. And then they do baseball games every single Saturday. And then they were planting a community garden yesterday. I'm getting pictures and I'm just like, Karen's doing more ministry than I am. And I was like, why are you doing it? She's like, well, my sister. See, isn't it interesting? It's in family that propels us to move out and to serve and to give. That's misconception one, that the church maybe is the thing that does it, but not me. It's certainly not me. The second misconception, well, I don't have to worry about whether or not my gifts will be used, and this is important, and I don't have to worry about it because God's just gonna use me. Or the misconception, well, God's gonna use you. No, of course God uses us. He uses us in big ways, little ways, small ways. He speaks through all of us. We are his image bearers. We can't help but be used by God. That's all there. But I think what we mean when we say this, or when we tell someone this, we say God's gonna use you, implying that there's some sort of major specific destiny that's in your future. And the fact that you have these gifts, skills, and talents proves that you will someday automatically arrive at this particular destiny simply because you have a talent. See, it's interesting. Nowhere in the Bible do we ever see this idea. In fact, many of the verses that say, hey, God has a plan for you, like Jeremiah 29:11, where it says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans not to prosper you, not to harm you. Oftentimes, these verses were given to communities. That was for the nation of Israel, speaking to their future in the promised land, that God would build a mighty nation through Israel. Can we glean wisdom through God's promise to the nation of Israel? Of course. But can we impose ourselves as Israel? Maybe not. Also, where it says in Ephesians, like, for we are his workmanship created in Christ Jesus to do good works. And we think, well, man, there's clearly a specific destiny and plan. I mean, he's created me for good works. This is in the context of how when we enter into Christ, it's not that our works save us. It's not our performance that gives us right standing with God. It's by God's grace. And so when we're created for good works, it's talking about how when we live a transformed life, there's good works that we naturally do as an outflow of our transformed life. See, when we look at biblical language, I'll even go more specific. Even when we look at biblical characters who do appear to have a specific destiny, like Jonah, where there's this inevitable future that you have to go to, it's important that maybe we aren't so quick to impose ourselves into those stories, because that's what God was doing in that character in his redemptive history that eventually became the Bible. What do I mean by this? Meaning David is David. I'm not necessarily David swinging around a stone to kill a giant for the entire country of the United States. That was David. I'm not Moses. Moses led his people through the Red Sea. I'm not doing that for America. But what we can do is we can parallel our lives, but we don't want to impose our lives, because here's why. Because then you should impose your life to all the apostles who died deaths and were crucified and tortured for their faith. But we wouldn't do that, because that's not the favorable outcome. So and let me be clear about this. Does God have a plan and a direction and desires? Does he like to put his people towards their gifting, towards maybe an outcome? Of course. What I am saying, though, is there's no certainty or guarantee that we will, in fact, end up there no matter what. In fact, the Bible, and in Jesus' most harsh story he probably tells all throughout the scripture, says something else. It's the parable of the talents. A talent, in ancient terms, simply means 20 years' wages. So if we were to equate a talent to American money, that's a cool $1.4 million based on our medium income. Like that's how much money. So in the story, a master gives 3 servants a different amount of talents. To the first, he gives 5 talents. So if 1 talent is roughly $1 million, he gives him $5 million. Another servant, 2 talents, $2 million. And the final servant, 1 talent of $1 million. And in this, the first one with the 5 talents, he's crushing it. I mean, have you seen the real estate bubble recently? It's just great. The first one, he invests all $5 million, gobbling up real estate, selling it off to poor millennial suckers like me, And he's making a killing to the point where he doubles his money. He gets another $5 million just like that. The second one, $2 million to invest. He gets into the crypto space. He thinks he's going to the moon, and then it kind of collapses a little bit on him. So he only doubled his money, and the $2 million, he gets another $2 million back, and he's feeling good. The final servant doesn't do anything, doesn't even put it in a bank account. Because they're afraid, I don't know, this economic climate, I don't know, the inflation is getting out of hand. I certainly can't do anything with it. I don't want to disappoint my master. I don't want to misuse what I've been given, so I might as well just hold on to it. And then the master in the story comes back to the servant. After he hears what happened with the $5 million and the $2 million, he's hyped. He says, way to get him, sport. This is going to look good in our year-end review. And he goes to the final servant and goes, okay, what'd you do with $1 million? And this is the dialogue. He says, he also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man. I knew you'd reap where you didn't sow, and you gathered where you didn't scatter no seed. So, I was afraid, and I went and I hid your talent into the ground. So here, just have it back, whatever's yours. And the master looks at him and goes, what? Wait, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least, hold on to those words, at least I could have gotten some interest on it. Then he ordered, take the money away from the servant, man. Give it to the one with the 10 bags. He's clearly capable of doing more. But because to those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who do nothing, even what little they have, man, it won't be taken away because it wants to be utilized. This is perhaps the most stinging words of Jesus that he ever utters. Because what he's saying is God is expecting to use, you to use, what he's gifted you. That God invites you to use what he gave to you. Harsh. We have to wonder when we look at this servant, is there an experience maybe of regret? seeing how the other investments turned out, seeing the fruit that they bore? Do you wonder if there is a level of regret that's happening? And instead, he buries his talent or his gift in the ground. How many of us have large, maybe beautiful homes that we want to invite people into, but we're afraid of the cost, and so we just don't do it? Or maybe some of us have a leadership gift in our life, and we just go, man, I'm afraid of the burden. And so in the process, I know I have this gift, I know I can bring people together, but I'm afraid that I might be too overwhelmed, and so I'm going to bury that gift in the ground. Maybe for you, you love to get lost fixing cars in your garage, and you could do it for hours because you're excited about it, but you don't want to engage with the full throttle ministry that helps, fix cars and gives them away to people, because for you, you're just like, I have security, man. I don't want to lose my full-time job and salary. I don't want to compromise, my time with my job, and so it'd be too much for me to give time away. I wonder in the servant if he's beginning to feel some regret. In fact, the question I think we have to answer is, will you regret not maximizing your gift? Will you regret not maximizing your gift? Author Dan Pink, in his book, The Power of Regret, he describes regret as the second most powerful emotion right next to love. In fact, he finds that regret often at times comes from our failures of boldness, the things we wish we did but we didn't do at the time. In fact, they examined the faces of all these Olympic medalists, and there's people who were brought in to observe the faces of these Olympians. And they actually didn't know how they fared. They didn't know if they got gold, bronze, or silver. They just were supposed to study their faces and rate their faces on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being they're devastated and crushed, 10 being that they're really happy. And they watched dozens of videos, and they come to find out that the bronze medal winners are usually happier than the silver medal winners. On an average, the silver medal or the bronze medalists scored an average of 7.1. They were thrilled. They had more natural smiles. The silver medalists, on the other hand, only scored an average of 4.8. And the silver medalists, they even noted, showed more contempt, frustration. Why? Because the bronze medalists, they had a feeling of at least. Man, at least I made the podium. Oh man, at least all my training paid off. At least I gave it everything I had, and I'm so thankful. And then the silver medalists, what did they think? They compared up. If only. If only I had focused a little bit more. If only I took more control of my breathing. If only I stretched out my leg further. If only I pointed my toes. Then I might have had the ultimate prize. See, I think many of us are in these two categories. At least, or if only. And the master in the story says, at least you could have done something. Man, if only you did something at least. I think many of us, we live in the moment of fear of utilizing our gift for the world. And when we have a moment of fear, this should be a signal to us. We should automatically have our antennas perking up the moment we experience inner fear. I remember I had a moment of inner fear when I left college, and I was pursuing a full-time job. And for me, I had been kind of working in ministry. I was depending on a job in full-time ministry, and I got let go from this particular organization, and then I was jobless. And then on the other hand, I was doing these corporate interviews, and I was in this interview, in this like skyscraper in Southfield, and the guy's like, I want you to give your blood, sweat, and tears. If you want, I want you to give me your right thumb. If I say right thumb, you give me your right thumb. And I'm like, absolutely, I'll give you whatever you want. Just like selling my soul in the middle of this interview. And as I'm there, I'm feeling this sense of fear of like, this is attractive because it's security. There's benefits, there's a salary. It's what I'm supposed to do. But the fear in my heart said, man, maybe I have this desire to love and care for people, even though there's no security, even though there's no job that's lined up. I feel like this is the gift that God's given me. And for me, I ghosted on the second round interview, and I got a 28-hour-a-week job at this little church called Kensington, doing elementary ministry. And for me, it was, I'll never look back and ask the question, man, if only I just followed my heart, my passions. Because for me, I look back in my 20s now, being in my 30s, like I look back in my 20s and I go, I feel so extremely fulfilled. I've gotten to sit at the tables with people and interact and exercise empathy and care about people. Because one of my things is I'm a huge advocate and passion. I have a passion for mental health. And in this, I feel extremely fulfilled that I got to live this out. And I can say, at least. See, I wonder if we had that moment of fear, that moment of anxiety, that moment of hesitation, that moment of ambivalence, when we go, man, I'm watching someone do something I wish I was doing. We're comparing ourselves like, man, I wish I had that life. Oh man, I wish I had more time because, I really wish I would have pursued music. I really wish I would have pursued my real passions instead of what I'm doing. I wonder if this, and this is the question I want to pose to you. What if every time you experienced fear in the present, that was actually regret in the future trying to speak to you? What if every time you had fear in the present, that was actually regret in the future trying to speak to you? What if every time you thought of it that way? That maybe for you, you have a large, beautiful home. You have all these gifts of hospitality. You want to care for people. You want to bridge build in a world that's so extremely segmented, where people don't have tribes or belonging. There's no shared mission because there's no community. And you have this home, and everything in you wants to invite people to your house, and you're feeling that fear because you don't want to take on a burden. What if that's actually regret in the future trying to speak to you in the present? Maybe for you, you are extremely empathetic and compassionate. You know, your parents didn't give you something as a child, and over time you harnessed the ability to love people because you knew what you needed, but you never got. And so as you grew up, you decided you wanted to give that thing, that love, that care to somebody else. And you have like 10 people on your list who you want to grab coffee with, younger women, younger men, the next generation, colleagues, coworkers. But you're terrified to ask them out to coffee because you know that if you start to care, you can't not care. You're going to be thinking about their life. You're going to be just owning their problems too much. And you have that fear of being overwhelmed. What if that's actually a regret in the future trying to communicate to you in the present? Maybe for you, you have that leadership gift, and you are just a killer. You're a shark at work. I mean, you are a bulldog. You're a honey badger. You just get things done. And you have a leadership gift, and your school, your school's falling apart, and you're part of this community. And you know that your leadership gifting can get it done, but you just go, I don't know. What if that's actually a regret in the future, trying to speak to you in the present? I think we need to change our if-onlys to at leasts. And here's a really challenging question I would ask. If Kensington never existed, would we still be loving, seeing, gathering people in our home, creating change in our community, loving our neighbor if Kensington never existed? Because it's actually something that Jesus asks us to do as sons and daughters, as family members. Because there's things that Jesus says, I want you to disciple people. I want you to love me. In fact, I've loved you so much that my hope is that that's a natural, responsive love for your neighbor. You can't help but do it. Will it require work? Absolutely. Will it be frustrating and overwhelming? Of course it will. But if Kensington never had a small group structure and there's no community, if Kensington never had a Sunday morning service, would you still try to be gathering people to let them know the love of Jesus because that's something that you're not even you're passionate about, but because you feel compelled to do because you want to create a space for people to feel loved and to know love, which is in Jesus? I think oftentimes we have a misconception, and it's a normal one, but a misconception where we look at the church, and I love someone else asked it this way, man, what is the church going to do to accomplish what God has asked me to do? What is the church doing to accomplish my Christian living for me? Instead of saying, what's Jesus asking me to do because I'm a son and daughter? What's Jesus asking me to do because I'm a brother and sister and because I love family? I have a 2-year-old son right now, and during the first year of his life, and many of you parents know this, but sometimes you'd be rocking a baby for 2 hours just for him to get to sleep for 20 minutes. And it's in that moment where you're like, what am I doing? And I'm like, gosh, you have to feed this thing 3 times a day. I can't even feed myself 3 times a day. I don't have a passion or a mandate to give my son baths. I don't have a passion or a mandate to feed him. I don't have a passion or a mandate to rock him to sleep. I do it because I love family. See, I think we need to love the end result, family. And that community is born out of having a shared mission of people who also understand that they're in it because they love family. And the natural outflow of family is to love, give, and serve. So what's the gift? What's the thing in your hand? Or are you right now burying your gift in the ground, your talent in the ground? See, we wanted to unpack some practical examples for you of what it looks like. And so in just a moment, our Move Out director, Becky Lee, who's also a great friend to Orion, she's going to have an interview with one of our Move Out leaders, which is incredibly inspirational. But also, we wanted to show you this video that actually gives you a glimpse into all the different Move Out teams and all the ways that people are putting this real into action. And my hope is that it inspires you. But before we do that, I just want to pause for a moment and receive our offering, which is electronic, and you can also drop some money or checks in the back as well. But if you are a part of Kensington, we just want to say thank you so much for your continued generosity, because all of this really is the heart of Kensington, to move out, to give it all away, and to be generous. And so there's a few ways to give. You can text the word Kensington to the number 77977. It'll give you a link back, and you can put in your information. And that also helps you if you want to do reoccurring giving, and that's something you're interested in and passionate about, because you want to see the message of Jesus and the love of Jesus spread to other communities. Or again, you can drop some things off in your way. But I want you to, as we pause to give, just let's take a look at this video to see and maybe feel some inspiration and hear what God's saying to us about how we need to move out.
So our move out strategy at Kensington is really to equip and mobilize people to be the church beyond our four walls, to use the gifts that God has given us to really see, know, and love our neighbors in tangible ways. And the Move Out Network is really a way to build community, to come alongside some incredible teams and organizations that are really rooted in relationship in the community. That is what is key for us, is we're coming alongside and supporting the work of these great organizations and teams that know what the needs are. And so the Move Out Network was designed as a way to invite people into those opportunities. We designed it about 4 years ago. It's always on our website. We have, I think right now, over 50 teams that are serving and loving people out in the community. And 7 of those teams are Traverse City campus. So I have to give a shout out to Traverse City, because they have launched 7 teams in the past year or so, and they are having incredible impact. We have our Full Throttle team that is repairing cars and giving those vehicles away to people that need vehicles. We have community gardens, and those have sprung up in really cool ways, especially since COVID. We have a lot of teams that focus on mentoring and tutoring kids. Everything from our school partner teams that are in our schools to tutoring. SOAR Detroit tutors kids in Detroit. Center for Success is tutoring kids in Pontiac. So a lot of ways to come alongside and support kids in their learning and their growth. So one of the things that we've seen happening over the past 6 months that has been really incredible is we have launched Afghan welcome teams. And we partnered with Samaritas, who is a refugee resettlement agency. And so in October, we promoted this Afghan welcome team opportunity on a Sunday. We hosted a virtual info night for volunteers, and we had over 100 people make a 6-month commitment to volunteer to be part of a welcome team, to come alongside a family. We formed 5 welcome teams, and to date we've matched 4 of those teams with families. Our team is made up of about 19 different volunteers. We have an ESL instructor, we have a retired auto exec, we have a family that has 4 young children, and those kids have been amazing at crossing the language barrier and building relationship with the kids in our families.
Just recently, there was a need to go to a rummage sale. I was able to help coordinate that. And coming up, I'll be doing a cleanup in the yard with the team. Wherever there's a need, I try to fit in.
I do believe that, as families are coming to a new country, it's important that they're able to navigate the systems that are in place. And a part of that is being able to speak the language. So in order to help the family to be more self-sufficient, it's important that we support them with their ability to communicate in English.
They're very eager to do so, though. So.
Mm-hmm. And also with the children, one thing, because I'm a teacher, I think often about the relationships that kids have with one another. And for young kids, it's so important as they're coming into a new environment that they're able to create friendships.
You do have to kind of overcome some fears. Even when I picked up the Afghan family, I don't speak their language, they don't speak mine, so I was a little worried, nervous about it, but it was fine, so it's just putting those kind of little fears out of your head and just moving forward and knowing God's gonna work it out.
There's a bigger story that God is writing, even outside of our welcome teams and our families, and that is the people that we're getting to interface with as we come alongside them. So an example is the landlord that our team, my husband Don and I, co-lead one of the welcome teams, and our volunteers have been helping to find that housing, and so they built a relationship with the landlord. And as he's been learning about this team, who are all these people, why are you helping this family, he just has asked more and more questions. And so he asked two of our volunteers, Paul and Karen, they shared that it was really an important goal to get the family in the home before Ramadan started.
Everybody was in there, different hours, doing different things, getting the house ready, cleaning, and making it a home for them. And the landlord, who happens to be Muslim, too, and he was just watching us, working alongside us, but watching us. And he several times would ask, who are you people? Why are you doing this? Like, are you being paid to do this? Why are you doing this? Time and time again, we have had the opportunity to share with people that as believers, this is what we're called to do. We're called to love God and love our neighbors. And it doesn't matter where your neighbor has come from. It doesn't matter the language that they speak. It doesn't matter even their faith, that we're called to love them.
One of the beautiful parts of this journey, as we have started these Afghan welcome teams, has been the collaboration on the Move Out Network. This has always been a dream of ours, is that the teams would be supporting each other in the work that they're doing. And this has really happened in this journey in a beautiful way. So we've had our Full Throttle team who has been working on vehicles that they can give to the families. One van has already been given to one family.
You know, we heard about the need, and we asked, well, how many people are in the family? And it turned out that there were 8. And typically the cars we get are not 8-seaters, and but someone donated a minivan, and so one night I crawled into it and crawled through the car, and I was assembling the seats inside the car, which if you've ever tried to do that, it's quite fun in the dark. In the snow, and I was counting the seats, and lo and behold, there's 8 seats in this thing. So that was the sign that, yeah, this is definitely something we need to be doing. We've got another car that we're nearly ready to give away as well to a second family.
Another Move Out team that has collaborated is our International Friendship team. So they are working and coming alongside international students at OU. So they connected us with an interpreter who is from Iran. He speaks a dialect of Pashto, which most of our families speak. And he has just been integrated into our team and is the sole way we are able to communicate with our family. So he is constantly doing translating for us so that we can communicate, let the family know when we're coming, what we're doing, and in the process, it's just been a beautiful relationship.
The relationship between the member of this group is awesome. And day by day, they want to do something good for the family. So you be motivated to do something. If you don't do something good, it seems that you are one step behind. So this is really good. I love this relationship with these members of the group. They are beyond awesome.
It's not really about what you can get out of it, but it turns out you do get a lot out of it. You know, it's like in your giving, you're getting. Anybody that's thinking about it, move on it. Go from the thinking to the moving.
Nothing that you have is too small. You can use, even if you're a mom with small kids and you're thinking, I don't know how to get involved, but I'm interested, even in setting up play dates with kids, that helps. If you're thinking about it, there's something in your heart, something small in your heart that's making you feel like maybe I should do this, just go for it and God will use you.
Right.
We just want to invite people to check out the Move Out Network. It's easy to check out. It's on our website, kensingtonchurch.org/moveout. And you can search all the different teams. You could filter it by what your passions are, what your interests are. And then you just click on it, and the leader will get back with you and tell you, here's a way you can step in and have a first serve and be part of this team. Our hope and our prayer is that God is going to continue to launch new teams, new movements of being the church, and that the network will continue to grow as people discover and explore what those gifts are that they have.
Hey, you guys, it is so awkward to have to watch yourself on video, but we're so happy to be here with you today. And as I was watching that video, I was reminded of mid-August when the humanitarian crisis first hit in Afghanistan. And I would watch the news, and maybe some of you all can relate to this too, and my heart would be breaking. And I would just say, Lord, what could I possibly do to help these families that have been through so much trauma and loss? And then fast forward to see how many of you sitting in the seats, how many volunteers have taken this step of faith to say, what God has placed in my hands, I can use in a way to love and welcome these families. So our family actually has 9 kids, if you could tell from the picture. So we needed every volunteer that we've had. So that showed you one picture of a Move Out team. We have over 55 teams on our Move Out network. And we wanted to highlight another team today, one that is near and dear to our heart here at Orion campus, because it's literally right in our backyard in Pontiac, and it's Micah 6 community. So we asked Coleman Yoakum, who's the executive director there, to come up and share a little bit with us today. You guys may recognize him. He's kind of like a celebrity. He was on a video that we showed here in December. So Coleman, thanks for being here. Just love to hear a little bit of the journey of Micah 6, what you do, what caused you to launch it.
Sure. So Micah 6 community started out, it was me and a group of friends that just said, let's move somewhere that needs good neighbors. And so we talked a lot about where that would be. We looked at different cities. We ended up in some weird places and some weird situations, and ultimately settled on Pontiac, Michigan. We bought a house, we moved in, spent a year doing nothing. We said, we're just listening. We're just gonna get to know the neighborhood. We're gonna ask a lot of questions, find a lane that we can work in to make life a little bit better in this neighborhood. And that started initially with gardens and has expanded to kids programs and other food and healthy eating initiatives and a small church in our neighborhood. And then the big thing that we're moving toward right now is we are renovating a vacant elementary school to turn into a community center. Pontiac used to have 6 community centers. Now it has 0. And so we are renovating a school building, building a community center that is completely directed by people who live in our census tract.
Yeah, we're so excited. We're dreaming about ways that we could come alongside Coleman in that center, including our Kaleo Arts program potentially having and being in space in that building. So tell us a little bit about the name. Why Micah 6?
So the name Micah 6 community comes from Micah 6:8. It's the Jewish people. They're having a conversation with God, and they're saying, we're doing all the stuff. We're going to temple, we're doing the sacrifices, but we don't seem to be getting any blessings. What's the deal? And God says, I didn't really want you to do any of that. I wanted you to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with me. And as we were thinking about sort of a guiding set of principles or ideas that was going to sort of direct our posture in the neighborhood, that was the verse that we kept settling on, that a lot of what we work on are issues of justice, that it's not fair that because you live in my zip code, the expectation is that your housing is substandard. Or that your roads are going to be a little bit worse, or that services are going to be a little less reliable, or because you live here, you're going to die 10 years earlier than the state average just because of access to food and all these other issues. So justice, that's a lot of the things that we are working on. The mercy was, we were asking for a lot of mercy from our neighborhood. We were 6 college-educated white kids moving into this neighborhood. We were going to say things and do things and try things that weren't gonna land as well as we had hoped they would. So we needed a lot of mercy from our neighbors sort of as we worked out life together. And the humility is also, it speaks back to us that we need to always be listening, that we need to always be willing to take criticism. We need to be willing to look at things that we were really committed to and decide this isn't working. And to give up on some of those things in order to be constantly good and better servants for our community.
I love that. One of the things I've heard Coleman say often is, we didn't move here to do ministry for our neighbors. We moved here to do it with them alongside, and they just live into that so beautifully. Some of our Orion team was able to go and do a tour. Was it like a few weeks ago? And Craig McGlasson was just so excited about the vision of what Coleman is doing that he really wanted him to be here today so that you all could meet him. So he wanted you to tell a couple stories. So he's a master storyteller. So, but just tell us like a way you're seeing God move.
Sure. So we talk a lot about the thing that we do in the neighborhood is we just connect people. That there's a lot of gumption and want and hard work in my neighborhood. The gap is always resources. Very early on when we decided we wanted to do gardens, we said, food seems to be an issue. And so as we were talking to our neighbors said, oh, I know how to grow collards and kale and cucumbers and tomatoes and whatever. There was this problem of food in our neighborhood. The knowledge for how to fix the problem was already there. The gap was resources, and that's what we were there for. We provided the resources to get those gardens up and going, and now we've gone from a red level USDA food desert all the way down to a green level USDA food desert. We're expanding our Sprout store when we move into Webster to become a small grocery, and we'll drop off the map completely as a desert, which is pretty cool. It's also, our neighbor Tim, when you're a church or a nonprofit, you get a lot of things donated that you didn't ask for. And so, one time I came outside and somebody's unloading 2 broken lawnmowers on my lawn. I was like, excuse me, what is this? And they're like, oh, they don't work. Jesus, have a great day. And drive away and leave me with these broken lawnmowers. And then my neighbor Tim comes out and he says, what are you doing with those lawnmowers? I was like, I have no idea what to do with these lawnmowers. He says, well, if I get them fixed, can I use them? I said, sure. And so Tim fixed up the lawnmowers and then starts this lawn business where he's mowing like 50 lawns in the neighborhood. He makes enough money to buy new lawnmowers, gives me the broken ones back, and is just off. And it just took a little bit of resources to get Tim going. But a lot of the stuff that we do is like neighbor level stuff and always having our world rocked by our community. So Matthias wanted me to tell his favorite story is this apple tree story. So one time we decided we were planting apple trees on a vacant lot. And we start planting these trees. It's early in the morning, but we realized pretty quickly that this lot is right next door to a drug house. And so as we are planting these trees, there's a guy just every 10 minutes from the street to a different car, doing a deal, going back inside. Eventually, he comes over and he says, what are you doing? Hello, sir. We are planting apple trees to make the neighborhood better here. And he looks at me and he goes, these are apple trees? I said, yes. And he goes, I effing love apples. It's like, great. And so he says, I will watch this and I will take care of this. And he watered that lot. He mowed that lot. His 2 kids, his name was Big T. If you are a drug dealer, your first name is Big. He has 2 kids, Little T and Kadari. And they're at everything. They're at neighborhood soccer. They're at Meet Up and Eat Up. They're doing our after school program. They're at everything that we do. And this is just, it's kind of shocking to us that we were blown away that drug dealers also like their neighborhoods to be safe for their kids. And that this is something that we got to partner with a lot of our neighbors in making this neighborhood a better place no matter what their vocation was.
Yeah. I love that. So there are lots of, you can clap for that. There are lots of safe ways to volunteer at Micah 6. So just tell, for people sitting in the seats, what are some of the ways they could get engaged there?
Sure. So this yesterday was our block blitz. Every year we pick a different street and do home improvement projects for people who live on that street. Just anybody who needs just a little bit of help. But if you were here yesterday, you might have noticed that got rained out. And so I have a number of projects that are still hanging out there that I promised that we would help neighbors with, some fence projects, some siding projects, a couple of things like that. So if you are handy, we would love to have you come out and help us with some of that. If you are a gardener, I have 1.25 acres of gardens that need bodies and time and help with. So if you are able to come and help in our gardens, we'd love to have you. If you're just sort of freaked out right now and you're like, I kind of just need to go see this, would love to have you out, love to give you a tour and show you all the things we're working on.
Yeah, One of the things I love that Coleman and his team do, they give you a task, you go knowing that you're going to do something, but the idea is they want you to drop everything you can if you can have a conversation with a neighbor. And that is just a way for us to see, know, and hear each other. So it's one of the things I love about Micah 6. So Coleman is going to be out in the lobby after the service. He would love to meet you and answer some of your questions, but would you guys give him a hand and thank him for being here today? Yeah. So you got to hear about 2 of our over 50 move-out teams on the network today. And as you can see, there's such a broad range. And what I love about Orion Campus, so many of you are already outside these walls, loving your neighbors in incredible ways. But we want to invite you to explore the move-out network as a way you can look at what is that gift, or what are those gifts, those experiences, those passions that God has put in my hand. And so you're going to see a slide come up here with a QR code. And so what you do is just, you can get out your phone, be ready, but you can just look at the QR code. It'll take you to the Move Out Network. You'll see a pop-up with some summer serve opportunities. We've got family-friendly things. Then you scroll down and you can just click on a team, join a team, and a leader will reach out to you. But we also have another way. For those of you that can't stay today, or maybe you're streaming, we're having a virtual event tomorrow night, as Drew mentioned, and you can sign up for that right at that same QR code. We'd love to have you join us, and even if there isn't a move-out team that seems like the right fit, we want to talk to you about how can we support you moving out and launching something in that same way. So thank you for all that you already are doing to love your neighbors. And again, we just want to invite you, do it this summer. Come up with one way that you can sit around a table and love your neighbors. And so what we're going to do now is Bella and the team are going to lead us through a really powerful song that highlights it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And that is what gives us all the courage to take that step, to use a gift, and to move out beyond our walls to love our neighbors like Jesus.
Something I really love to do is thank the Lord for everything. The tiniest things, thank you for everything. That's what this song is about. Thank you, God, that it's not me who lives, but it's you who lives within me. So if you guys just want to stand with us and just worship him, you're welcome to do so. Thanking him looks different for everyone. It looks like singing a song. It looks like just standing and just saying in your own head, God, thank you for this, thank you for that. So yeah, we join you to worship with us this morning.
You brought me
Jesus, to fully praise you, it will take all eternity, just like Lazarus. Oh, you brought me back to life. You brought me back to life. Oh, you brought me back to life. Oh, you brought me back to life. No longer I who live, but Christ in me. For I've been born again. My heart is free. The hope of heaven before me, the grave behind. Hallelujah, you brought me back to life. No longer I who live, but Christ in me. For I've been born again. My heart is free. The hope of heaven before me, the grave behind. Hallelujah, you brought me back to life. You brought me thought he had me, but Jesus said you are mine. The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said you are mine. The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said you are mine. The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said you are mine. The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said you are mine. The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said you are mine. The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said you are mine. The enemy thought he had me, but Jesus said, no longer I who live, but Christ in me. For I've been born again. My heart is free. The hope of heaven before me, the grave behind. Hallelujah, you brought me back to
Come on, wasn't that amazing? Come on, can we give it up? Man, maybe today challenged you and you feel inspired as you were watching the videos, you're hearing Coleman speak. That was amazing. I feel challenged and convicted. And for you, if that's you, tomorrow night we want to remind you of this Move Out event, and just check it out. Join online. It's 1 hour just to keep it going. Don't leave here and think, oh, that was really good and that's all. But maybe begin to just ponder, be like, I really need to put my words, my thoughts, my hearts into action. So tomorrow, Monday night, also, we're going to leave that QR code up just for you to check out our Move Out Network, all the teams that are in existence that we'd love for you to join. And hey, maybe tonight or today you felt challenged. Maybe God was speaking to you. We have prayer after service down front and in the lobby. We're so thankful you came out. We'll see you next week for week 3 of our series, Above All. Take care, everybody. you.